Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, The Crafty
I'm
Kiwi.
Anne-Marie.
And today I am sharing two cards
using products
from the
Altenew
July 2022
Summer
Sunshine release.
I'll be
using
creating a floral card as well as a
mosaic
diamond
using similar
products,
backgrounds
and techniques
and
outline
same
stamp
colour
sets.
scheme. And later in the video
I'll
I'm
be
using
using
the
the
captivating
monsters
blooms
and outline stamp set,
mosaic diamonds background
for my
stamp
second
set
card.
And later in the video I'll be adding
I'm creating a floral card
as well as a
stamped
masculine
die set.
card using similar products and techniques.
I'm starting
And
off
the
with
same
some
navy
colour
cardstock.
scheme
My
of
colour scheme
navy
today
blue
will be navy and gold.
I'm
I
starting
am
off
by
placing
placing
my
some navy
Misty stamp
cardstock and A2
getting the
size
correct
into
position,
my Misty,
so that I'm happy.
and
once I'm
making
happy
sure
with the
that I'm happy
placement
with the
of the
placement
stamp,
I will
I'll
prep
then
my
use an anti-static powder
base
tool
with anti-static
to
powder
prep
tool,
my
and
card
then add
panel,
some Altenew
and then
embossing
add
ink,
some
which is a
Altenew
nice sticky ink,
embossing ink, which
and
is a
that
lovely
will
sticky ink.
allow
clear
me to
ink,
then use
which
will allow
gold
the
embossing powder,
antique gold
embossing
to
powder
pour
that
over
I
that
use,
image
to stick
and
to
the image and
heat
nowhere
set
else on the panel
to give me a nice.
I like to double stamp embossing ink just so that I'm absolutely sure I'm getting a good crisp image. I am then taking my antique gold embossing powder, pouring that over quite liberally and tapping it off on some scratch paper, maybe going in again if there are little areas that haven't quite got enough gold embossing powder. When I'm happy with that, I will place the rest back into the tub and then begin by heat setting with my heat tool. I like to get my heat tool nice and hot so that I can emboss really quickly, and I keep the tool moving, and once I see the color change to a shiny surface from that matte finish, I then move on to the next section. Once I've finished with that, I decided to do what we call the spotlight technique, and I'm using some oval nested dies just from my stash, and I've cut out an oval from the middle of that panel. Then I'm going to use the coordinating layering stencils from the Captivating Blooms set, place them in the right position, stencil 1, and I'm using some Warm Sunshine pigment ink to highlight the color of the petals just on that oval area. So you will see when I placed my stencil down, I used the whole image, and then I pulled away the frame and left just the spotlight area on my work surface. I found it easier to line everything up when the whole panel was in place. So I carried on doing this, using the different layers and using the very helpful guide that comes with each set. And for some extra shine and shimmer, I am then adding some antique gold pigment ink using a very small detailed blending brush from Altenew, and I'm adding areas starting where the middle of the flower is at the base of each petal, and just brushing out gently some gold to further enhance that image. The yellow provided a base layer, and the gold will provide the shine and the extra depth and dimension that I'm looking for in the spotlight area. When I'd finished that, I went on to create a background for my floral panel. I like to make my own cardstock colours, and I find this is the best way to do that. I'm simply taking the ink pad to a panel of navy cardstock, swiping it around the edges. Because it's pigment ink, I did allow it to dry for a little while. I then trimmed down my panel by about 1/8 of an inch all the way around, and then attached that to the base. And that gives a lovely gold border with the exact colour antique gold pigment ink that I've used in the flowers. I'm then popping up the spotlight oval in the middle, and then you can see how that then forms that more interesting and detailed image in the middle of the panel. So that is card 1. For my next card, I'm using the Mosaic Diamonds background stamp set. I want to make a masculine card using this, and I think this stamp set really lends itself to making all sorts of beautiful cards, really appropriate for men. Men are often quite hard to make cards for, but I think this stamp set is one I'm going to be using a lot. Now I'm using a similar technique, this time clear embossing ink and clear embossing powder. I am using the same technique, heat setting that once I'm happy that there's enough embossing powder on the panel. There was a little area in the corner that didn't quite get enough ink or powder, but that's okay because I am going to trim that down again. So you'll see we now have a tone-on-tone effect from the embossing. I'm then taking some purple silk masking tape from Altenew, and I'm just generally placing it in a diagonal across the middle of the page. To bring in the gold, antique gold embossing pigment ink, should I say, I am then using a small blending brush, and I am adding that quite liberally over that top part of the panel. Now you'll see that I've used a dry tissue or some paper towel to actually rub off the excess, and this is called emboss resist. So the embossing ink that is dried will resist the gold, and then you're left with a gold and the navy pattern which shows up more. I trimmed down 1/8 of an inch, so my panel, instead of being 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, will be 4 by 5 1/4. And then I decided that I actually liked the gold section of the card to be at the bottom. Once again, I am bringing my antique gold pigment ink directly to another base panel, and I'm going to pop up the decorated image onto that, leaving a nice gold border. The foam tape I'm using is called Instant Dimension foam tape from Altenew, and I have to say I absolutely cannot work without this one. It's just my favorite. In order to make a more definite image in the middle, I took some more scrap navy cardstock, and I embossed a little bit of gold, trimmed that down to about not more than 1/4 of an inch strip, and added that along the middle just with some glue, and then trimmed off the edges. I'm now using sentiments from the beautiful Monster and Quotes stamp set. They have some lovely sentiments in the set, as well as sentiments from the Mosaic Diamond. and I am using my antique gold embossing powder again. I've also chosen to stamp and emboss a couple of the Monstera leaves, which I think are quite appropriate for a more masculine card. And again, I'm heat setting with the embossing powder, using my heat tool and waiting until it's all smooth and melted. I then went on to fussy cut around all the words, and I did the same for the Monstera leaves. I didn't have the matching dies, but there is a matching die set for that set. Now with my fussy cutting, I'm just using a very simple what we call a bubble cut, leaving a little navy border around each word, and you'll notice that I'm keeping my right hand with my scissors still, and I'm using my left hand to move the paper, so my left hand's guiding where the scissors will cut, and this is the best way to get a nice smooth end result to your fussy cutting. A lot of people like fussy cutting, but there are those of us who don't, but I particularly love fussy cutting, so it doesn't worry me at all. So that was an easy process for me to follow. The sentiments I'm then popping up with some more instant dimension foam tape, as well as the two leaves, and I'm also adding a sentiment to the floral card. I felt that there was a lot of gold and shimmer and shine in these two cards, so I decided not to add any further splatters or embellishments or sequins to these two cards. I felt that they were great just as they were. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope I have inspired you. All the products I have used today will be listed in the description below. I would love it if you give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Until next time, happy crafting. Bye.